Okay, I call this the golden liquid light. I'm going to try to explain this from what I call the beginning. One day, everybody's going to remember this, what you're seeing. You've seen it before, but it's far more beautiful than can be depicted here. It is the light that no eye can see. We're given what I call the user's manual here, the Bible, but unfortunately the scribes scribbled the scriptures and the truth has been hidden from us. We are indeed a species of amnesia. Actually, we're more than one species of amnesia. And in the Bible, where it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, that is a recreation. In the beginning of this time, this era, this being, we come from a place that's like this liquid light. It's like the birthplace of souls. This is where we all come from, souls. Souls can fall into different frequencies. Everything has a soul. The animals have a soul. Everything in existence has some of this liquid light in it, or it's just dead matter. You can call it the breath of life. I call it liquid light, because that's what it looks like to me. This place that you're looking at actually exists all around us right now. We're just unable to see it or experience it. The body is like a box that we're locked in, and kind of like Plato's cave, what you're looking at around you is merely shadows. That's why it don't feel real, or it feels simulated, because there's so much more going on around us. In the beginning, this place had to be recreated because a disaster happened in this solar system. Kind of like in Star Wars, in the very first one we saw, where Princess Leia tells them where the base is, and they go blow up Aldebaran. And everybody feels a convergence in the Force. They feel it when all these souls instantly disappear. That's what happened to us in this system. So it was recreated. That's why when God created man, he told him to replenish the earth, because it needed to be done again. Well, the planet that was destroyed is the Kuiper Belt, what we know as the Kuiper Belt today. It was the fifth rock from the sun. It housed five-fingered beings. Since we don't have that planet anymore, we're on this one. And it is the third rock from the sun. When we dig, we find reptiles, reptilians. It was the planet of evolution. It had to be changed to another frequency that could house us in bodies so that we could live again. We had to replenish. But there were also beings on the other planets. because that system, because what they refer to as Tiamat, or the first Earth, was destroyed, we had to, it tore down the rest of the stars as well, the rest of the planets. Everything had life. Every planet was living and produced life forms, intelligent life forms, some more conscious than others. So a lot of souls from the different planets had to be born here. This was the only viable planet in this system. And to get off this planet, we must evolve again. But that takes far too long, and it's really hard to do on this planet in this frequency. It's really low in what we call materialism. It's really down there on the ladder of ascension. But some of us are capable, we're beings that were already above this stage. So when you hear things like these things they call the reptilians were here first, well, indeed they were. This was their planet. But like I said, everything was destroyed, even this planet. We now have the bodies that were created for us to live in here are very different. They have all the chakras from all the planets. We call them stones. Mars, that base chakra. Jupiter in the chakra of desire. The sun and the moon in the solar plexus. Venus in the heart. Mercury in the mouth. And Saturn in that crown chakra. Everybody gave a piece so that we could live here in peace. Okay? But what happened was so traumatic, not just to us, but to all of the species on all of the planets. When I say us, I am talking about the planet that was destroyed completely, completely traumatized, blown into oblivion. What many refer to as Tiamat, the five-fingered beings, because we were at a specific level of ascension. So we have these bodies here that are housing these different frequency beings. And it can be hard for a lot of us that, say, come from the fifth chakra, but we're thrown down into the base chakra, or we're in relationships with base chakra people. And as the sun moves through the constellations, it is emitting different frequencies. Each constellation has a particular frequency. They vary from positive to negative, positive, negative, or masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine. But that mirrors down here. So it's as above, so below, but as above, mirrored below. It is equal but opposite, if that makes sense. So we are born into these bodies based on these frequencies, and they are generally in line with one of the chakras. And the top one has been closed off for mankind. We're not ready for that one yet, but we're really close. And there's a great battle on, because it is time. We had to bypass evolution here. So we are in a great alchemical magic circle that is designed to bring us back to the level that we were, and also to bring the earth up to that level. It takes us to do that. We bring that vibration up. Within our bodies is this liquid light that makes this happen. The earth is literally the crown jewel of this universe. She's in the middle. I consider her the pineal gland of the universe, and she is opening her own third eye. She is that third eye, but her pineal gland is calcified like ours is. That's why there's limestone everywhere. That's why you see all these limestone buildings where they put churches and stuff to house that energy. The beings that are in control come from a couple of planets here in the system, but they're also related to other star systems outside this system. We're all affected by light. We're light beings and we're affected by light. Information travels on light. Your pineal gland is like your telephone to God. God is nature. Nature has many aspects, masculine and feminine. It is the elements. Nature itself is bringing us through an alchemical transformation to bring us back, as you would think, to bring us back to God, to bring us back to our former selves, to wake us up. Trauma wipes memory. It's very traumatic for a child to be born. That's bad enough. Now we have the system of traumatizing the child by slapping it when it's born. And we're given some lame excuse. It's trauma. It's done on purpose. That immediately throws the child into the base chakra right when it's born. Immediately. And that's going to affect its DNA. They'll even try to traumatize the mother while the child is in the womb. A lot of what they do to women when they're pregnant, I always found very distasteful. The gynecologists and OBGYNs are mostly men, and they're not very affectionate, comforting. As a matter of fact, they can be quite cold and hard to even just be there. It's a bit traumatizing. And what affects the mother affects the child. The woman has been mostly abused on this planet and tried to control because she does bring forth the child. In the Native American teachings, we're told that a woman's job is to lead a man to his soul. And a man's job is to make sure the woman is protected so that she can lead him to his soul. Because men have they automatically have a stronger innate reaction to jump into that root chakra because of sex, their testosterone and hormone levels. When you talk about the pineal gland, you're talking about, and the chakras, you're talking about the glandular system in your body. It's the endocrine system. When you get cancer, you go see a doctor that is familiar with endocrines. When you talk about these different glands that produce these different hormones, men are different from women. Men have testosterone, where women have estrogen. Women have always been far more intuitive. When they talk about this knowledge was first given to Eve, it is because she gives birth. Only women bleed. For men to perform this, they perform a sacrifice because it has to do with blood. Also, women go through a horrible thing after going through puberty and having a period for years and giving birth to children. Then we go through this incredible thing called menopause. And it is really far worse than puberty. It can devastate you if you don't know what's going on and what to do about it. And you will find that nobody ever talks about it. It's not talked about in the medical community When women start to go through it, they can go to doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor, and they'll give them all kind of drugs and tell them all kind of shit. But it never dawns on them. These women are going through menopause. It's a hormonal change. And when they do, when that is addressed, they start pumping either testosterone or more estrogen in them, or what they call progesterone, a mixture of the two. This really, that's the most horrible thing you could do to a woman. One, what is happening to her is naturally. She's kicking off the hormones in her body, and it is painful. And she goes through these sweat rituals almost nightly. Well, when you throw off the water in your body and your bones start to break down after menopause, we're losing calcium in our body, and our pineal glands open. And all of the ancient traditions around the world, it was the elder women who had the final say in everything, because they were the wise ones. They were the ones that could connect to the spirits, and they knew how to try the spirits. They were no longer influenced by those lower chakras of reproduction. They're free from all of that. The man has to deal with testosterone till his death. And even when it becomes low, they'll go get replacement or Viagra or whatever. They have a really hard time. So it's always been easier for women. So to control this power, one must control the woman. So that has been an agenda on this planet. That's coming to a halt. Not that women are better than men. It's just that we each have our own purpose here. And that really, the woman's purpose, she gives the greatest sacrifice because she contracts to bring other souls here. And then we're horrified when we get here and see what's going on, because this is not what was supposed to happen. We were traumatized, and to wake us up with them, when you wake up, really wake up, all of your memories come back. And to remember who you were before, you would have a really hard time accepting who you are now. It's kind of like when Luke Skywalker walks into the cave and he's fighting Darth Vader, and then it's himself in there. A lot of times people can trip when they meet their higher self, because each of us have our own. And it's, again, equal and opposite to who you are. We were all androgynous. Now they're male and they're female. So we split when we came into these bodies. And we're always looking for ourselves and other people. And we're never going to find that. We can find members of our soul groups that way. Soul groups being from that particular frequency of life that we come from, that exist here and everywhere. The Bible, like I said, was a manual so that we would know what to do at what time and what age. And we had keepers and our teachers, and our teachers and our stewards, our tutors and our stewards decided they were just going to take over everything. Why be teachers and servants when we can be rulers? So that's what they did. But we are special children, and nature herself is alive. She's not going to allow this, or he, because it has aspects of masculine and feminine, androgynous, not in a hermaphroditic form, but in a spiritual form. The Bible uses a phrase, in heaven there is no marrying or giving in marriage. And that is why you don't need to. You become androgynous again. Not physically, spiritually. You don't need it. That was the problem in the days of Noah. They were marrying and giving in marriage. You were contracting. They were still looking for themselves and other people. And it can become addicting. I mean, relationships don't work because a lot of them stay in relationships or tend to be extremely miserable. even when they stay, it's not a happy relationship because they don't find themselves. And you can't really function in a relationship unless you know yourself and have your whole self. And so this has been a pretty chaotic world for a very, very, very long time. The powers that be know their time is short, and they're in big a bad of trouble. They are trying to prevent us from waking up. And the best way to do that is to keep us in our lower chakras. Keep us in a lower frequency so we cannot see the light. Some people are naturally waking up and they're being slammed into mental institutions and told they're schizophrenic because they hear voices, to where when you pop your pineal gland, it's perfectly normal to hear voices. You just must understand who it is that is speaking. And it can freak some people out if you're not prepared for it. Because you can hear the information is a lot really fast. When you're channeling spirits, a lot of people do this, empaths, intuitively do it, have done it their whole lives. And empaths, let me talk about empaths for a minute and explain this a little bit, because there are different types of blood on this planet. You have an iron-based blood that is related to the root chakra, and then you have a copper-based bloodline that is related to the heart chakra. The copper-based bloodline has more electrical properties, so they're far more intuitive. The metals are also associated with the planets to help explain all of this, because you're talking about the elements, nature. DNA has a memory of its own. That can be traumatic as well. A lot of times, in my opinion, some of the people who think they're remembering past lives, and well, indeed they are, but they're accessing it through their DNA. It's not that that particular soul lived that past life, but that the DNA did. It might have housed that particular soul, but more than likely it was a different soul. DNA, as it is transmutating in this circle, it is also becoming self-aware. We're told in the manual that, I call it the E-manual. You will call his name E-manual. We're told that this mortality will put on immortality. And I believe that's what's happening. I thought for a long time, because I have my light body and I've been out of my light body, I've died several times, I've touched it, played with it, been fascinated with it, and I'm ready to put off this flesh, right? It has, and I understand it has a will of its own, it has a thinking capability of its own, it has a memory of its own. It's quite separate from me. It looks like me, but that's not me. And I fight with my body constantly. I thought it would just die and go away like a snake skin, but it is very likely the purpose of this alchemical circle is to bring these bodies to a higher state. The DNA wants to wake up, and it is going to be easier for certain DNAs and certain bloodlines to do that than others. Did you hear what I said? That's what this is really all about. It is a copper bloodline versus an iron bloodline. Iron Man, that chakra, that's the root chakra. Right above that is the chakra of desires, Jupiter, which is about empires. You know, it's the desire, it was the empire that wanted to kill all the Jedi. The Jedi had mental powers, right? And it is about mind over matter. So there's a big manipulation going on here to try to distort that in every way. But the biggest problem is not war. It's not nuclear war, it's not disaster, it's not disease, it's not starvation, it's not pollution of the earth. But it is pollution of the air. It's called noise pollution. That's the biggest problem. And the human ear can only hear so many frequencies. Those who are intuitive and have opened the pineal gland, they can hear many more frequencies. Kind of like the animals. You can look and see your dog hear something that you do not hear. These frequencies that we do not hear are disrupting our DNA, are causing our chakras to break down, spin backwards, go chaotic. One has to be really centered, really in tune with themselves, really let go of everything to key into this. At this time in history is probably the hardest time for somebody to pop their pineal gland. But the time is coming when it's going to happen to everybody. And those that are right now enslaving us, they know this. So they're trying to prevent it, to break down the DNA. They know noise is their friend. That's why they give you the stereos and the music at the wrong frequencies, and the ability to turn it up real loud, and all of the noise. I mean, they could really cut back on a lot of stuff that's really noisy. Airports and highways and cars, and it's just incredible what the noise we're around all the time. Phones and televisions and the noise from the air conditioners and just everything, this constant roar. To connect within, you just really need silence. When the apostles asked the Lamb, I'm just going to call him the Lamb of God, when they asked him how to pray, he said, you don't do it like the priests and the Sadducees, in public for everybody to see so they can be looked at as holy men. You go into your closet. Your closet is in your mind. It's meditation. You go in a quiet, dark place and you meditate. There are many different techniques for that. But what you're going to channel when you meditate is based on the frequency of what chakra you're running from. If you're in that base chakra or in the chakra of desires, or power is in the solar plexus, the best place to come is in the upper chakras, the heart, the throat, and then move into the crown chakra. You have to let go of the root chakra, and which houses your emotions, your anger. That's that reactive fight or flight chakra. And then the desires of this world, Jupiter, the flesh, telling the body, no, you've had enough to eat, to not be the glutton, to everything in moderation. Taking control of, 1, the emotions, 2, the desires, and the power, when you talk about the sun and the moon, which are in the same chakra, by the way, and they rotate night and day, and male and female. Some are stronger in others. The moon is stronger in some, and the sun is stronger in others, but they're together. You can almost say eclipsed. And it's a solar or a lunar eclipse there. You can channel both those chakras. That's the power. And you really have to give that up too. When you are weak, no power, he is strong, pointing to the pineal gland. And then we move to the heart chakra. And there, you literally have to give up the ones you love. You can love them, but you have to be prepared to let them go. When you pop your pineal gland, nobody wants to come back. You want to stay there. It's quite euphoric. It's the land of milk and honey. It's the promised land. It's where we're supposed to be. And it's right here all around us. It's when you pop your pineal gland, then your eyes can see it. You're walking in the kingdom. And this yellow, white, gold, light liquid light is just everywhere. It comes, there's no source for it. It just is. It's everywhere. It's not like there's a sun or, it comes from within you. It's the light of every living thing. It's the quintessence. It's the essence of everything that is. It's like that breath of life that was breathed into Adam, and he became a living soul. Without this stuff, you can't live. And we have some inside of us. I do believe this is what they harvest from bodies, and why they're taken to morgues, why certain our organs are removed, and they were pumped full of this formaldehyde shit to kill that DNA. We're told it's to preserve it. I don't know if you've ever seen what formaldehyde does. Anyway, that's just the body, and it is DNA. But it is growing too, and in some cases, because of the environmental issues and living conditions we've been subjected to for ages, there's a breakdown in a lot of DNA strands among a lot of peoples. As a matter of fact, there's very little what you would call pure blood or pure DNA left. It's all been mixed and jumbled and diseased and chromosome damage and even like nuclear damage. We now, everybody on the planet, if you were born after the first atomic weapon drop, you have a new marker, DNA, that no other species, that humans, we never had before. Only those born after that date does it show up. So, just back to the story. The system was destroyed. We're kind of really born again here in the bodies that we would freak on if we saw our real selves. We become very comfortable in this skin because we're traumatized. We don't remember. Or we would be horrified. I'm here to tell you, you would be horrified. There are others that when they woke up, they're going to be horrified at who they used to be, because these bodies are more acceptable than the ones they had. So that's kind of a double-edged sword there, depending on what soul group you came from. A lot of people that think they're from one soul group are going to find out they're from another. A lot of people that are pointing fingers, hollering reptilian over there, are going to find out they're from that soul group. That they're from the reptilian soul group, or that they're from the Martian soul group, or from the Jupiter soul group. It's kind of easy to tell the Mars and the Venus, because that marker is clear in every bloodline. The negative bloodlines and the positive bloodlines. And you can call them the mother and the father. You have a copper-based feminine bloodline and a masculine-based iron bloodline on this planet. Women who are pregnant know this. Used to, you had to have a blood test to get married, and that was to keep people from positive bloodlines and negative bloodlines mixing, because generally the mother has a miscarriage, or the babies are stillborn, or mother and child die at birth. The mother, a lot of times nowadays, they just give them what you call a Rogam shot, and it makes them all positive bloodlines. That mother in the negative bloodline will naturally abort that positive baby, and if she don't, it's generally born different. This is what we got going on here. These creatures that are born from this hybrid bloodline, because some of them can have the empaths with the pineal gland, but they have no empathy, none whatsoever. It's what we call the narcissist or the psychopaths come from this. And then when they get it the way they want it, they start doing the incest thing. And that just further tears down that bloodline. But they still have all this knowledge about themselves and about us. Everything is written in the heavens above. That's why it is so important for them to have your birth certificate. You're upset because they sell it on the stock market. The real thing to be upset is they know when and where you were born. And they know your real cross and your real astrology chart. We've been lied to about everything. They know your destiny. They know who you are the minute that thing is certified. And a lot of you become targeted from birth. They'll pick the narcissist to be a politician. And they'll take the one that should be, it's really, they target intelligent small children. And they try to traumatize them. They try to keep you because they know more about you than you'll probably ever know about yourself. I'm just learning all of this myself. I'm beginning to understand it in an astrological sense. A lot of this information I just simply remember. I remember before I was born. But I'm learning what has happened here. And maybe what we can do about it. Or at least they've got us casting spells upon ourselves. They don't really do anything to us. Not without consent. We've actually consented to every bit of it. All they do is bait us. Problem, reaction, solution. We're the ones that make the videos, put on the records, come up with all the propaganda. They just simply prod you, and off you go, like a good little cow. You do exactly what they want you to do. And it is the worst thing you could ever do. You need to start making decisions for yourself. I'm trying to help you become self-empowered. But very few people want to do their homework. And unfortunately, I can sit here and talk all day long. I can make hundreds and thousands of videos. But until you begin to practice this yourself, then you're just going to remain in the same situation you're in. You're going to go through the same patterns, the same cycles, the same problems, and you'll keep recycling here until you're able to achieve that. And a lot of people want to get off the wheel, but until you achieve what you're sent here to do, you want. What is that? Raise your vibration up enough to where you literally can disappear into another realm right here. You just walk into the kingdom. The promised land is now. The time is coming when it's going to fully manifest here in this reality as we know it. But we're looking at about 1,200 years maximum. It could happen in the twinkling of an eye if everything was lined up. We've been held back for ages. We've been lied to and held back for a long, long time. So there seems to be some help here, a hidden hand, if you will, that's pressing the agenda. It is forcing the script to be accelerated. Everything's moving faster. We were slam dunk with technology. We had to be. We had to learn to bring ourselves up. At the same time, there's a bad side to that, because they're using that same technology against us. It is not guns that kill people. It is people that kill people. You can ban guns all you want. They'll find another weapon. We need to start addressing the problem, not the symptom. We're addressing symptoms. And that's not going to get us anywhere. That's just a band-aid. All of these rant videos all over YouTube, pointing fingers, so-and-so did this, and they're doing that, these horrific things, and they should go to jail. I mean, judge, jury, and executioner. When we really don't know the truth about any of that, but we're reacting to it in a negative, low chakra manner. And that just puts us back at square one. It's like we've been doing this how many decades now? Have they been playing this same game with us? And just when we get ready, we're given an opportunity almost every 20 years in a Saturn-Jupiter conjunction to make a step up that ladder. And they keep cutting us off with trauma, fear-based events. That Saturn-Jupiter comes along, here's going to come home a traumatic event, and the best weapon they've ever had. They thought TV was great. They thought they had us with television. But they had a grand slam knocked out of the ballpark with the internet and YouTube. Because now they don't have to tell the lies anymore. They just have to plant a seed in our mind, and our imaginations run wild. And they all run right to the lower chakra. Because the chakras are the endocrine system, and it produces a hormone, a secretion that affects the body. And you feel euphoric. Even in anger, even when you get mad, you get that adrenaline rush. There are adrenaline junkies. People like stimulation. So they stimulate you. Because of the internet and things like YouTube, television, commercials, they know our attention span is very short. You know, I understand. I had a lot better watch time on 15-minute videos. When I produce hour-long videos, I know that only a few are going to make it to the end of that. But they're the ones that's going to get the greatest benefit because they are focused. They do want to learn. They are paying attention. When everybody else is just looking for the clickbait and then on to the next thing. It's like sitting in front of the TV, clicking that remote. And I've seen people just click, 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 click. If they do stop, it's only for a few minutes and they're back to clicking. They can't stop. Well, if you want to do this, you got to stop. And that means taking control of your emotions, your body, your urges, your likes, dislikes, all of it. Our bodies and our chakras are ruling us. We're supposed to be ruling them. And when you get them spinning in the right direction, you can become powerful. You can have all kind of superhero abilities. You talk about Iron Man, or Copper Woman. Wait till you see that one. She's a force to be reckoned with. They don't tell you none of this. And what they do tell you, it's disinfo. They'll never ever tell you the truth. And even if they give you a little bit of truth to bait you, a half-truth is still a lie. But Aquarius and the age coming and the frequencies that will be emitted on this planet have to do with knowing. It's about naturally popping the pineal gland, and then everybody knows. No more secrets. We even become telepathic. You don't even have to speak anymore. You just think it, and they hear it. And that's where we're headed. But I don't think humanity's ready for that. We've been lied to so long about who and what we are. I'm not sure how to explain all of this. I try to find terms, words. Our languages have been so corrupted. So much has been taken from us that it appears we don't have a fighting chance. But I have found the greatest thing that we can do is nothing. Don't respond to their false flags or their hype, their propaganda. They're pushing your buttons. The people in our lives should be test ground for this. going through puberty in high school, people pushing your button. We should have learned this, but it seems the older we get, the more reactive we get. I'm really ashamed of the adults and people that consider themselves awake and mature and the type of content they're putting on YouTube. You know, there's a way to deliver even the worst information that doesn't throw you into fear. Why does it always have to be afraid, be very afraid, or be angry, be very angry, vengeful, want to kill them, hate? Well, hate stems from fear. You only want to kill that which you fear. And the only reason you fear it is because you have a lack of knowledge. You have no understanding. If you had true understanding, you wouldn't be afraid of anything, not even death, because you will realize that too is a lie. And there is no death as what has been told to us. There's no hellfire and brimstone as what's been told to us. But our imaginations run wild with it. Why don't we take our imaginations and dream a brand new world? Instead of the destruction of this one, how about the creation of a new one? What do you want in your world? Make a video and tell me about it. Tell me about your new world. And don't tell me, I wouldn't do that, what they did. Leave them out of it. Tell me what's in your heart, your desires, your imagination. If we are to become, if we're gods in the making, and have the ability to manifest, then we need something good to manifest. We don't have a good template here. If this place teaches us anything, it's not what we should do, but what we shouldn't do. I didn't have a very good mother, so when I became a mother, I tried to do what my mother didn't do, and if she did it, I didn't do it. And then I became probably an overbearing mother. My mother was very neglectful. The only attention we got was abusive. So I was completely to the extreme of the opposite, when I needed to find some balance in there. Be a little bit more of a mother and less of a friend at times. I think I've done my child and myself a disservice. But live and learn. It wasn't completely horrific. I mean, I had a great relationship with my son for decades. I enjoyed being a mother. It was the greatest joy of my life. The greatest experience of my life was popping my pineal gland. And I wanted to stay there forever. If I ever get the opportunity to walk that far in again, I won't come back. I'm hoping that the work I'm doing here will allow me, the next time it happens, to go ahead and stay there. I loved it there. It is euphoric. You know everything. You're at peace. You're with your higher self, so you're complete and whole. But even after you come out of that state, you can still have access to just closing your eyes, going within, and the answers start coming. You can find that peace. And lately it's just been finding the quiet. First you have to find the time and then find the quiet. Then you can go in and find yourself. We have a world age, a double age coming, that is beyond anything you can imagine. It's what all of this has been about. It's why the earth was recreated and reestablished and replenished, to bring us back to that golden age, that state we were in. And for everybody, even those you think you hate. All this crap about sin and guilt. The really only sin on this planet is ignorance. It's a lack of knowledge. If you had true knowledge of the truth, you wouldn't kill anybody. You wouldn't even have the desire to. It just wouldn't be there. It just seems silly. You wouldn't be afraid, no fear, no reason for competition. Gone, not necessary. None of that's going to be a factor in the next stage. All of that just washes away the first time you pop your pineal gland. You'll have no need to compete with other people. They'll try to compete with you and lose mostly, because when you pop your pineal gland, you can see ahead. You see the moves in the chess game before they do. If before you popped your pineal gland you could see a couple of moves, afterwards you can see the whole game. That's how come they're smarter than we are. We're not allowed to do this. The knowledge that's there, they used it, channeled the information, and enslaved us. But we consented. We go along to get along. We're good little sheep, and we do what we're told. Because the priest lied to us. They lied to us about heaven. They lied to us about hell. They lied to us about God. They lied to us about the law. They lied to us about who we are, and they lied to us about who they were. But now we're coming into the know. And now the tables are turning. Now they are afraid, and they're starting to fall. Very few of them can even connect to their pineal gland anymore. They're trying to mix into those bloodlines again and get that back, when they don't realize they brought that upon themselves. So they use other people to do it for them, predominantly children, and that's sad. But they are the most intuitive. They're the easiest, they're close. So many children are misunderstood by their own parents because their parents aren't awake. So many children are born remembering, and it's beat out of them. They're told they can't talk about that, or they can't do that, or you're not normal, or they shove pills on them. They tell them they're ADD. They diagnose them with all this bullshit. And they traumatize them until they don't remember anymore. The foolish things of this world to confound the wise. Out of the mouth of babes, you're going to find the greatest wisdom. Because they're not contaminated with the programming, with the dumbing down. They're still more in their pure state. We have magnificent lights when we get here, and by the time we leave, there's barely a flicker after the trauma of this existence. You have to fight for your light, but you fight for it not with weapons and not with words, but with self-control and self-discipline. Because truly, when you do wake up, you're going to realize that you really can't blame anybody but yourself. We gave consent when we walked into the church, when we walked and was pulled to the pit and altered. We agreed to all of it. When we go into the school systems, when you learn your ABCs, you have been initiated into the mysteries. It's only been, 100 years since the majority of people could read. Before, it was for only the elite. And they could get away with any lie they wanted, because we couldn't read. Well, we can read now, and we still don't know shit. We don't apply ourselves. Everybody's too busy making money, putting food on the table, taking care of their families. They've got us all scripted in a role and cast in a play that is not our own. That's why we feel out of place. We don't belong here. Something's wrong with this place. We never feel fulfilled. We don't know our purpose. We don't know our destiny. And all of that's written in our astrology charts. It tells you who you are, where you're from, why you're here, and where you're going, and how long it's going to take you to get there. But all that's been kept from us. They took the manual and scribbled it. The Bible is an astrological manual for the story that's written in the heavens about that magic circle that we're in, what its purpose is, and where we're headed. Where we come from, why we're here, where we've been, and where we're going. As a collective and as individuals. But then there are environmental factors. There is a destiny, but within it is free will. We have a choice. I got to the point I was suicidal at 5. I said, no more. I don't want to be here. I didn't want any part of it. There's something wrong with this place, and nope, I got off on the wrong stop. This ain't my planet. And I meant I was leaving. Well, that's what it takes to pop your pineal gland. It's letting go of everything. This world, your ego, your personality, all the many hats you wear. Father, son, daughter, mother, friend, lover, enemy. You gotta stop hating and even stop loving. You have to almost go catatonic in meditation. And that's when you're finally listening, and then you'll hear it. It'll be a slight buzz and then a pow. And all of a sudden, you're in a brand new world, standing in front of your other self. And this light here that you see, this liquid, golden white light. I don't know any other way to explain it. I don't know how to dumb it down any more than that. I'm sure that leaves a lot of questions. The story is so long. We've been told all the stories in the movies, but we were lied to about a lot of the characters, their names, when it occurred, and what it was really about. But the basic template and the theme is all there. It's all there. We're not given the liberal arts. Very few people know about mythology. Very few people know about astrology. It's not given to us, but it's not kept from us either. You must apply yourself and look at it, and look at many different traditions and many different languages and many different tongues and everything. Everything is connected to everything else. And alchemy is really the key, because it's the key to the language, it's the key to the book, it's the key to the stars, it's the key to nature. It's the key to everything. But it's a symbolic language. It comes from oral tradition. There is no alphabet. There is no words. It's an understanding. It's an understanding of the big picture. It opens everything. Without alchemy, the astrology you have is shit. It's all traditions of men. Without alchemy, the Bible and books, not just the Bible, the Quran, all of them, they're all shit. But you apply that alchemy to it, it comes alive. It's a manual now. It's telling you the truth. What was, what is, and what will be. Alrighty. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the box below.